Guess who is still making YouTube videos for an audience of 50 people?
Who are you? Huh? No, doesn't ring a bell.
Heat actions, grab attacks, finishers. No matter what you call them, I think everyone on Earth can agree that they are the coldest shit ever. In this episode, I will be adding heat actions to the game, as well as trying to improve the graphics with visual effects, so the audience doesn't have to look at this ugly piece of shit anymore. With all that being said, welcome to...
Please come in my ass.
A small thing for movement I added was a teleport point, which you can teleport to with mechanical hands if you are locked onto it, and it regenerates after 5 seconds, so you can use it again. Then I added a pocket dimension you can teleport to. It has no use currently and I don't know what to do with it, but it's in the game for now. In the last video I said this, I'm thinking of paying a 3D artist for models and animations. Then I realized I don't have any money. What am I supposed to do? Get a job? The cheap way I'm trying to fix this and make my videos watchable was color correction. How you do that is by replacing the LUT, the lookup table for every color, by the new colors you want to replace the old colors. You're supposed to edit a screenshot of the game in an image editing software and then by the differences of the original and the color corrected version, you're supposed to be able to generate a lookup table. My GIMP, however, kept generating the LUT not like it's supposed to be, and Godot didn't know what to do with this format. This is what it generated and this is what it should look like. So I just manually changed some colors in the lookup table and I made this gem. After a lot of work, I actually got some results that look nice.
Can I crack? Please?
To make hits look more impactful, many games add impact rings. I found this impact ring shader on Godot shaders. It has a lot of cool parameters to customize the ring. I just put it on a mesh plane. Then I wrote a global function to spawn rings with randomized values at a wanted location. There's these globals you can set on Godot, where you can access the script's functions from anywhere. Using the portal fists, for example, you just have to have a node 3D where you want the impact ring to appear. Then you can just call the function with the node 3D's transform when you want the impact ring to appear. With the portal fist barrage, it looks like this, which already looks way better than before. Now I had to do this for every animation and state the player can have. So I just added it to the animator for the moves parameters, which I already had. So now I can easily add this to every attack I want and it looks pretty sick. Here you can see it. I also tried making these after image blink-like effects with shaders. They looked pretty decent, but I wasn't happy with them. So then I saw a slice fade and it reminded me of Dragon Ball. So I tried to remake that in 3D, which looks worse and is a bit harder than in 2D. But it still looked really sick and I was happy with it. You can see that in action. This also has a function where you create the after image with any mesh with a skeleton wherever you want it. You give it the mesh and the skeleton, it makes a freeze frame at the instance of the animation, then it applies the shader and boom, you have an after image. Now to the main attraction of the video, the heat actions. Under the last video, someone commented, I bet you can't put cool cinematic glory kills in the game. This put two questions in my mind. One, why does this guy doubt me when I am literally the GOAT? And two, Why does it hurt when I fuck you, I'm gonna prove you wrong and make a heat action. The first thing you think of when you need to make a heat action is how do you make the enemy and the player interact so seamless? How do you control the camera to be the cinematic? How do you add effects without it scaling badly? With the current game model, you would need to add a new state with a new animation for each enemy and player and then align them perfectly so it looks like they're interacting. Then you would need to fuck up the third person camera system, which is already super complex. So I made a whole new scene, which the player has as a child. The scene has a area 3D to track enemies in range for the heat action. This scene has a skeleton for the player stand and the enemy, and in the future for the enemy stand. It also has its own camera, an animation player for each skeleton, and an animation player for the camera and any other variable and effect. Then it has a player position and enemy position for the transform of the enemy and the player after the heat action to put them in the right rotation and place for a seamless transition. The player position also has a spring arm and a camera 3D to simulate the third person camera, and it is used to bring back the cinematic camera to the position of the player's camera for a seamless camera transition. Everything we want to synchronize to the animation, like impact hits, teleport after images, damage taken, player's position and rotation for if he teleports, is saved in a single animation and changes variables in the scene script, which permanently listens to changes in the variable and acts accordingly. The damage, for example, is a float. Whenever the float value changes in the animation, the script activates a signal. The player model now has only one state, which listens to signal changes from the scene and starts the state and also locks the player in the state so he doesn't have any other inputs. As expected, when the heat action starts, the camera is switched to the cinematic camera, player and enemy are made invisible and the heat action scene is made visible, and when the animation ends, the camera is switched back to the player camera, the enemy and the player become visible again, and the heat action scene becomes invisible. I also made some prototype health and heat bars. I tried to add some effects to the heat bar as a proof of concept. So when it is not completely full and being filled, it has these sparks on top of the progress bar. For some player feedback, I made an improved enemy health bar, which is now a part of the UI. After you hit or lock onto a target, the enemy's name and health is displayed on the bottom right corner. It also has some features like shake and the white bar, which shows the progress a bit cooler, I guess.
What is the purpose of this tiny hole in a nail clipper? Isn't that concerning?
This was all I added to the game for now. I know I joked around with the one guy's comment. Don't let that discourage you. I love getting comments. So if you have an idea you want added to the game, write it down there. If you liked the video, also like and subscribe and maybe even share with your friends so the channel can grow. Cue the outro.
Did you know that being unemployed between the ages of 16 to 23 is actually a sign that you will be financially successful later in life?
What do you think of Mr. Beast?
I don't know him.